Hey guys, what is up? Chillfeed here, back bringing you part 2 of all the legendary weapons I have collected so far in Borderlands 3. Before I'm going to start with this video, I wanted to thank every single one out there watching these videos and those that smashed that like button, especially those legends that gave me and my channel a chance and subscribed. Thank you so much guys, I was just smiling all day seeing how many views and subscribers I gained, so yeah, just wanted to thank you. Also a quick update video on the ASMD from part 1. A viewer by the name Joe Klein told me that you have to shoot the energy orbs with the bolts, and that's what I did. And does it make the weapon better? No, it still sucks, but thanks for letting me know, Joe. And I forgot to mention in the last video that I will list all of the 113 weapons I found so far in the description, and I'll put timestamps in my pinned comment for the legendaries I include in each part if you want to jump to a specific one. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. The first weapon of part 2 is a real dangerous one, the Destructo Spinner. This is a Maliwan SMG that can drop from anywhere at any time from any lootable source in the game with 2 random elements on it. That's why yours might not be as dangerous as mine, but that's depending on what prefix you get. If you listen to the song Destructo Spin by Between the Buried and Me before, you came across the lyrics "I've been hired for destruction," which is where the gun has its name and red text from. What's cool and unique about this weapon is that even though you can switch between elements, you don't need to, because the weapon shoots the 2 elements by itself, meaning that it shoots projectiles at a decent fire rate with little to none charge time that spin around in circles as they move forward, whereas each element spins into the opposite direction. Just watch the gameplay and you will see what I mean by that. It is great for depleting enemy shields if you can manage to get a version and then dealing damage with another element without having to switch them manually. It's a good weapon, and I can't believe I just said that for a Maliwan weapon.
Happy now?
Next up is a legendary torque pistol called the Devastator, and it is just that, a devastating pistol. In my case, I got lucky and got the double penetrating version of it, which I cannot recommend enough to you guys. But you might get another version with a different prefix of this pistol, which is not too bad either. You can not only find the weapon with the same red text that just says "Hail" in Borderlands 2 as a Seraph weapon, but there's also a pistol in the Duke Nukem series with the same name and a quote from Duke himself, where he says,
"Hail to the king, baby."
The weapon shoots in bursts with 2 relatively slow explosive rounds that do just so much damage, especially when used in close quarters. But if you have the double penetrating version like I do, it shoots 4 rounds per burst instead of just 2, and this is probably the closest we can get to what the Unkempt Herald was in Borderlands 2, so it's definitely worth using it if you get it from any lootable source in the game. It seems that I spoke a little too soon when I said I couldn't believe a Maliwan weapon would be good, because the Devoted seems to be another good Maliwan SMG that I can actually recommend. This weapon comes with the red text "This is your champion," and at this point, because I couldn't find anything myself again, I wanted to thank all of you guys that left a comment on the last video telling me the different reference for the weapons I didn't know about in part 1. If there are people watching again that know what "This is your champion" could mean for the Devoted, I would appreciate it a lot if you'd leave a comment down below. Thank you guys. Now, the Devoted special mechanic is pretty nice if you ask me, as it increases its fire rate the more your magazine empties while shooting. Of course, it can also switch between 2 elements. In my case, it's the Stark Devoted, so it switches between cryo and fire, but in your case, its weapons prefix and elements may change when it drops from any lootable source in the game for you. The legendary Vladov assault rifle called the Dictator can be just as powerful as the name suggests, but also just as annoying sometimes. The name comes from the Roman Emperor Caligula, and the red text "let them hate me so that they will but fear me" is a direct quote from this guy. It can drop from any lootable source in the game with every element and will always come with a bipod attached to it. If you shoot this gun without switching to the bipod mode, it will shoot 3 projectiles that are lined up horizontally, so far away from each other that you will most likely just hit with the one in the center. When you activate the bipod though, it will shoot 7 projectiles, also in a horizontal line, that can deal massive damage on larger enemies with big critical hit spots. Unfortunately, especially for general mobbing, to land all of the projectiles on an enemy, you have to be pretty close to them, which is not the easiest since you are substantially slowed down when the bipod is activated. Luckily though, it still does decent enough damage when just landing one projectile on an enemy. And you can also decrease the spread of the projectiles by aiming down your sights.
Get over here, dickweeds!
With already 25 spots into the series comes just the second of many Jacob's weapons in the game, and that is the Duke. Not the Duck, the Duke. And let me tell you guys, this is a good one. Now, let me fire off that red text to you real quick at first. It is, as Killer6 stated in this video, supposedly a reference to the lead concept artist for the gun design in Borderlands 2 and 3, and the pre-sequel of course, Kevin Duke, and it is something he says all the time. This weapon is a beast. It shoots bullets that stick to the enemy that do damage. They explode after you stuck them anywhere that do even more damage, and on a critical hit, you ricochet 2 more bullets to other targets that do the same thing. And the explosion will do crit damage as well. You can get it from every lootable source in the game. It won't come with any elements, but it will come with a lot of damage. The next pistol also fires sticky rounds, but this time it is quite normal since it is manufactured by Torque and is called the Echo. Unlike other Torque weapons though, this one is limited to shooting sticky rounds only, and if you have the double penetrating version, it shoots 2 rounds each shot. But what makes it special is that they will explode 3 times after sticking to an enemy, hence its name Echo, and probably also its red text "don't make me repeat myself." It is quite fun to use, but not as powerful as some of the other Torque legendaries, but you might want to try it out for yourself when you get this from any lootable source in the game, and it also can come with every possible element. Any Creek fans watching? You're gonna like this one then. The first of 2 Creek references manufactured by COV, the Heart Embrace the Pain, with the red text "It hurts! It hurts!" For those of you who don't know who Creek is, he is a playable character in Borderlands 2 and had a skill called Embrace the Pain, which increased your fire rate once your shield was depleted. In Borderlands 3, this skill turned into a weapon and comes from any lootable source in the game with the fire element. When you hold down the trigger, its fire rate increases more and more, and when you hit a certain threshold, it won't consume any ammo anymore, but your character also starts burning until the weapon eventually breaks. I love the design, the reference, and everything about this weapon, so
Who's ready to play some scouts?
Down you go!
Okay, I know, some of you might say this isn't a weapon and I shouldn't include it in here, but this thing is a legendary and it shoots, so it is a legendary weapon I will include. You can get the Eridian Fabricator after completing a main mission, and when you get it, you can let it consume up to 10 Iridium for some awesome loot in return. I'm just kidding, the drop rates suck. Next. Okay, back to some real weapons. I mean, a weapon that deals melee damage, but still, it is a legendary Hyperion shotgun with the name Face Puncher, and as the name suggests, it packs a punch. Like, Literally. It has a red text that says, "Man your own jackhammer." The same text can be found in the song In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth by Coheed and Cambria. The weapon itself does damage based on your character's melee damage, meaning that each pellet deals as much damage as you would normally do with a melee hit. That's also why it won't come with any element, and you can't crit with this weapon, except for when you're playing with Flag and his action skill Fade Away. I've seen gameplay on a melee Amara build, and this thing can be pretty powerful. And it is also a nice alternative if you get sick of just punching everything with the melee build. Oh damn, Brick would be mad right now. And again, this weapon can drop from any lootable source in the game. Another good weapon is coming up next with the legendary Vladov assault rifle called the Faisar. I believe this weapon can only come with either shock, radiation or fire element, but can drop you from any lootable source at any time. With the red text "Set phasers to kill" comes a Star Trek reference where they had so-called phase pistols you could either set to stun or to kill somebody with. The weapon shoots full auto of course, but also has an alternate shotgun fire mode where it shoots I believe 6 projectiles in a very tight spread. The engulfing version that I got came with the shock element and did amazing damage against shields and just decent damage against anything else. Remember, your version might have a different prefix on it and a different element. One of my favorite and probably one of the best legendary shotguns in the game is a returning weapon from Borderlands 2, the Flakker. But this could also very well be called the frame rate killer, especially when playing in co-op. It has the same red text as it has in Borderlands 2 that says "Flag the world." The Borderlands wiki website says it is a reference to Battlestar Galactica, where they use the word frag for frick,
What the frick,
as
man?
in frick the world. But also the word flag comes from the German Flakgeschütz, that is basically an air defense cannon. But since the Flakker lets basically everything at a certain distance explode, it could also mean just that. The weapon is awesome and a must get, so pray for RNGesus again to let it drop from any lootable source in the game. I'll just let the gameplay speak for itself.
Bleeding out. Try to keep up.
I'm just in love with the Jacobs weapons in this game. If you're also in love with them and are still watching the video, smash that like and subscribe button right now. And if you're not in love with Jacobs weapons in Borderlands 3, smash that like and subscribe button right now. The Flood is another awesome Jacobs pistol that can drop you from any lootable source in the game. Both the name and the red text "Take Us" is a reference to a species in Halo, and the weapon fires full auto and has an insanely high fire rate that just deletes your enemies when you can control the relatively strong recoil. It is just fun.
The composition suits you.
I really hope this next one doesn't have a too specific reference. Okay, sorry for this guys, but the next weapon apparently starts with a D and not with an F, but it seems like I had my mind on just the last part of his name, which is the Devil's Foursum. And in my case it is the Itchy Devil's Foursum that came with radiation element, but your prefix on this weapon can change and can come with all elements, and it can drop from any lootable source in the game. The red text and its reference is something I let you figure out for yourself, but I will tell you about what this weapon can do in game. This torque pistol shoots 3 projectiles per shot, with all of them spreading out to the left, right and up until they all come together in a sweet spot and do massive damage, which is why the name makes perfect sense, to be honest. Just watch the gameplay. Finally a weapon where I don't have to tell you that you can get it from any lootable source in the game, and that is the legendary Jacobs shotgun, the Garcia. It comes with the red text Rudy Tooty Pointy Shooty, which I believe is just a fancy word for a weapon in general. And I've heard a bunch of things about why the gun is named that way, including the Ben & Jerry's ice cream flavor Cherry Garcia, which by itself was a tribute to the guitarist Jerry Garcia, but I'm not sure, so please leave a comment down below if you do know what the reference is for this weapon. If you want to get this thing, you have to travel to the Anvil on Eden 6, take the exit right there at the fast travel station to Floodmore Basin, head right past the Catch-A-Ride station where your save station will be, and run past all the enemy creatures until you get to a little arena where a Chunk Stomp will spawn. He is part of the legendary hunt challenges from Sir Hammerlock, so he will spawn every single time when you are farming him. And every time you will kill him, he has a chance to drop this awesome shotgun that has nothing too special about it, just a very big magazine, but this is awesome just by itself.
You there. How are your last threats going? The chaos!
Another Jacobs rifle is coming in at the 35th spot of my list, and it is the Gatling Gun. And I believe this always will come with the same Gatling prefix for everybody else. The gun doesn't have any element and can drop from any lootable source in the game. The red text is a reference to the song Crank That by Soulja Boy, because, you know, you shoot a Gatling gun by rotating a hand crank on the side of the gun. The Gatling gun also used to be in Borderlands 2, but not as a unique weapon, and in Borderlands 3 its design represents more of a Gatling gun itself and shoots full auto with increased fire rate the longer you crank the crank. I found it to be pretty inaccurate though, and it really is outclassed by most of the other Jacobs weapons.
Shadow Step.
With the Girth Blaster Elite comes probably the worst legendary weapon, no, the worst weapon in the entire game. Luckily for those who did not pre-order the Super Deluxe Edition, have never been able to use this weapon ever, and you don't miss out on the weapon at all. It is pretty much just a Nerf gun, and even though it says it's a torque pistol, there are no explosions, which is why I don't believe in that. Imagine Mr. Torque seeing this and saying it's okay to release this weapon. Yeah. That's not happening. The red text on this thing says, "Don't go to pieces on me," and that's all I have to say about it. The second boomerang weapon in this game is also the returning Gunerang from Borderlands 2 and is now called the Bangarang XL. Back in Borderlands 2, this TDR pistol could drop from the Ragman Easter egg, which is now also in Borderlands 3, but this time Gearbox decided to make this obtainable from any lootable source in the game and gave the Ragman another designated drop, which I will cover in another part of the series. So make sure to hit subscribe and check out part 1 if you want to see the Bangarang XL, which might just be a better version of the Gunerang. The red text on it says "give it a whirl" and is just an Australian slang for "give it a try", and the design of the weapon resembles that of an traditional Australian Aboriginal boomerang. If you reload this weapon, your character will throw it like a boomerang, and just like the one in real life, it travels back to you when you throw it, but in Borderlands 3 it will explode on you if it doesn't get close enough to an enemy, where it will home in on them and then explode. I forgot to mention that you can also get this with every element in the game and with a different prefix than mine, which is poison. The Hand of Glory. It is not a weapon you can get from any lootable source in the game, but you will get it as a main mission reward on Eden 6. This weapon has an, in my opinion, awesome looking design, and the red text "buy 1, buy 2, buy 3" is basically its mechanics in a nutshell. It shoots with 2-shot bursts that you can fire off pretty quickly until you get a short delay after your third burst. So you get 1, 2, 3 and then it's a delay. It is a weapon that cannot come with any element, and I must say that I really like using it. The short delay after every third burst is a little bit annoying at first, but after using it a while you get used to it and it can do a lot of damage at any range basically. After Tyreen and Troy, I have to say that I appreciate Handsome Jack and how good he was as a villain in Borderlands 2 even more. At least we got one of the many references to him with the Handsome Jackhammer in Borderlands 3, which is a Hyperion SMG that I wish would drop like the Nimble Jack from Handsome Jackie on Skyworld 27, but instead you can get this weapon from any lootable source in the game. Everyone thinks they are the heroes of their own stories is the red text, and a direct quote from Handsome Jack himself in Tales from the Borderlands. And if you are using this weapon, Jack will say some lines and does it feel good to hear his voice in Borderlands 3, right? This SMG has also the TDR ability to be thrown as a grenade upon reloading, and when it's thrown it will keep on firing and bounces 5 times and explodes with every bounce. It does do decent damage as well when just shooting the weapon, and even more damage if you can land the explosions, so definitely a fun and good weapon to use. The next one on this list has the description of the mechanics of this weapon perfectly summed up in the name already. The Jacob sniper rifle Headsplosion does not come with any element, but it does come with an explosion every time its bullet hit any kind of surface. The red text is not lying when it says it happens every time, and it is also a lot of fun when it happens. To get this awesome but unfortunately not the most accurate sniper rifle, you can fast travel to the slaughter shaft on Pandora and use the exit to spawn every time after a save and crit in the targeted location. But if you don't have it unlocked yet, you have to fast travel to Conrad's Hold, which is also located on Pandora, and follow the path until you find one of the legendary hunt targets from Sir Hammerlock called the Manvarg right here. There's a save station right next to it from where you can spawn into the game after every time you will kill him, and you can also refill your ammo if it takes a while to farm him. If you are not able to kill him quickly, I would suggest you kill all or at least most of the other Varkets that spawn around him first before they become badasses. Trust me, you don't want to deal with all of them at once. What is also pretty awesome about this weapon is that every time you hit a critical hit on an enemy, it will ricochet 3 bullets instead of just 1 to other enemies around. Definitely give this one a try. The last weapon I wanted to include on this is another returning weapon from not only Borderlands 2, but Borderlands 1 and the pre-sequel as well, is the Hellfire. This time around it has gotten another redesign and it looks awesome in my opinion. The red text is a reference to the song The Roof is on Fire by Rockmaster Scott and the Dynamic 3. You can get this weapon by farming another legendary hunt target. This time around it is called the Jabbermogwai, located right here on Eden 6 in the Voracious Canopy. After spawning at the fast travel station, you want to take a left and then another left into the section where the Jabbers will spawn, and then continue until you see his lair that looks kinda like a big oven in a big tree. He will spawn every single time you will get there and has a chance to drop the Star SMG every time you kill him. It will always come with the fire element and full auto only, and it is a pretty fun weapon to use since it has these little explosions that go off every time you hit an enemy, and also has a pretty high chance to ignite your enemies with a high fire rate. Definitely go get this weapon.
This can't be how we saw this going.
So yeah, that was part 2 of my legendary weapon series. I will upload part 3 tomorrow, and like I said, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and hit subscribe if you don't want to miss out on the future videos. I will not only make videos for every legendary weapon in this game, I will also cover some other stuff regarding everything Borderlands 3. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I see you tomorrow in my next video.